What happens when life doesn't unfold the way you imagined it would? When the path you hoped for changes course and you're left navigating grief, uncertainty, and the quiet question of what now? Welcome to From That Comes This, where we explore the connection between life's most difficult moments and the unexpected beauty, meaning, and purpose that can grow from these very moments. I'm your host, Rebecca Foster, and I'm so grateful that you've joined our community. Whether you're listening or watching or sharing these conversations with someone you love, thank you for being a part of our community. And if you haven't already, you can definitely follow us on Instagram. It's easy at From That Comes This Podcast with an underscore. You can subscribe on YouTube as well, same show name. Today's episode touches on a journey that so many people quietly carry, the experience of longing, of loss, of hope, and ultimately redefining what a family can look like. Infertility and adoption are deeply personal experiences for those going through them, often layered with emotion, with resilience, with heartbreak, and with profound love. And while every story is different, they're all unique in their own way. There's something universally human about learning to let go of the picture that we once held and opening ourselves to a different kind of beginning, a beginning with a unique set of challenges of its own. Dallas Lombardi, owner and founder of Dallas & Co. Events, which is a luxury event and wedding planning company. She's also co-founder of Chance to Dance. She's a community champion, a mom of two. She's also a fiance to one pretty special guy, and she's an all-around lover of life. Welcome, Dallas, to From That Comes This.
Thank you.
You have the greatest name.
That was a beautiful intro.
Well, I'm so glad. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because sometimes I stumble and bumble my way through, but I'm really happy you're here.
Me too.
Yeah, you've got quite a story, my friend.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of layers.
We'll get a lot of layers. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of layers. You and I had coffee together earlier this year, and we'd never met before. We have mutual friends and acquaintances throughout the community. But I'm telling you, when we had coffee, I felt like I'd known you for years. It was just, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, that's nice of you to say.
Yeah.
There's something about you that's deeply sincere. You are just, this is who you are. Your love for life and all things around you is very evident.
Thank you.
And I can see it in your eyes.
Thank you.
I'm an eye person, so there you go. And I'm not hitting on you. So there's something super special about you for a multitude of reasons, but you experienced a very different journey to motherhood. Right? And there are many that are listening or watching today that will be able to relate. And the beauty of this podcast is that we're able to open up and share our stories with the hope of spreading light to others who may be in the same situation. Mm-hmm. So you are going to share your story with us today, and I'm very grateful because it's a very intimate, deeply personal journey that you've been on.
Yeah, and I'm only new to sharing most of it. I've been sort of silently navigating a very big thing, mm-hmm. and I've only just recently started sharing. So I appreciate you holding space because it's a huge form of advocacy for me.
Good. To
be able to tell the story. So
well, we're thrilled that you're here, and I know more and more people are asking you to talk to them about what you've experienced. So today we're going to get a little deeper into your journey with infertility, which led you to adoption. So that road, was it a perfect line? Was it a bumpy path? And it's still ongoing. So I don't want to make it out that, your journey is done. You're now a mom of two. But tell us from the beginning, what did this journey look like for you?
I always wanted to be a mom. It was, going way back, I started my career very young. By 26, I was an executive director. And, I kind of hit the glass ceiling in my career at early 30s. And it was just a super stressful environment. And me and my husband at the time were focused on starting a family. So I took a step back from the career and just, we spent the majority of our marriage trying to start a biological family, which just wasn't working. We experienced inconclusive infertility, so that's tough because there's not really answers or direction. It's just a big gray area. So,
sorry to interject, but as a woman, how hard did that hit you? Inconclusive infertility. Now, I'm not saying it was you or your husband at the time. You don't know, but you always wanted to be a mom?
It takes a toll on the body and the marriage and how you, well, it takes a toll on everything. Like, I mean, I felt like I would walk into a room and people would sneeze and get pregnant. And it got to the point where I started like kind of isolating myself a bit. Like it was hard for me to go to baby showers or, you know, even go out sometimes. It was just like, it felt like it was in my face, and like holidays became very hard for both of us. Everything. It affected everything we did. And,
When you say holidays, is it with family members?
no,
Were they
like,
asking?
you know, Christmas, like just being the two of us, and just wishing, you know, that we were sharing that with little ones, and Mother's Day, Father's Day. Like, I mean, it was brutal. I couldn't go online. Like I've noticed that, so this week is Mother's Day, and like a week ago it all started, and I still find it difficult to be online because I just find it so in your face. And as someone who has experienced sort of a different journey, I still do find it. I still don't go to baby showers really, because it's just.
I'm sure there's a lot of women nodding.
It's unrelatable.
Right now.
Oh yeah, for sure there is. Infertility is a trauma, and no one really names it that. And it was actually the experience of the adoption journey that allowed me to grieve the loss of not having my own biological child.
Okay, so these are big decisions to make as a couple. You've mentioned as a young girl, every young girl, almost every young girl, I shouldn't generalize, but the dream is to get married, start a family, raise your family, and life is supposed to go this way.
Yeah.
But for you and many others, it doesn't go exactly as planned. So did you spend years trying to get pregnant?
Years. And the thing about that time was people weren't sharing things yet. So there wasn't information. We were silently suffering,
thinking
through
something
it.
was wrong.
And we didn't know anyone else going through that. So it was like this, it was just like this traumatic experience that, you know, you just sort of day by day goes by, and it's the ups and the downs and the hope and the loss every single month for years. And I personally, like, adoption was never, we didn't choose adoption because we weren't having success.
Okay.
Adoption was a conversation that was always in the mix, and it was something that I always wanted to explore. And so we chose at a certain point to start exploring it while still, you know, trying. And we were just going to let the universe sort of decide what the path would look like. So,
which I think that's a great way to handle the process, if you will, right? Because often when you stop worrying or you hear,
well, that's what you think.
That's what you think.
That's what
you hear.
Yeah.
But if you could go back before we move right into the adoption part, what would you say to someone who's struggling silently now? If you could go back and change the way you went through the journey, what would you say to yourself even?
It's hard because, again, like at that time, there wasn't a lot of information. Like now, like Instagram wasn't as big as it is now, or online media, people talking about the honesty, right? Like, you know, even motherhood, like people are talking about things and it's at your fingertips. So I think it's hard. If I was going to tell someone today, it would be to talk about it. I'm not saying publicly, of course. There's a lot of people that are more private, but there are more people going through it than you think.
Yeah.
And I found when I started sharing, it was like, me too, me too, me too, me too. Like, I remember, I'll never forget the day I publicly shared my blog post of my infertility journey. And the minute I hit the publish button, I mean, I started sobbing because I was nervous, and it had been something that was just mine.
Yes.
No one knew. And the messages, like the emotional hangover after that was crazy, because I had hundreds of messages coming in for days, weeks. And
think about,
it helped.
Yes, it helped you, but think about how many others you helped.
I know.
By just sharing that very raw and real part of yourself and your life.
I've always felt that there's healing in the sharing.
Yeah.
And I know that sharing things publicly online, I'm never going to tell everyone that that's what you should do, because that's not for everybody. But in your own community, in your own personal life, like there are going to be others, but they're probably silently suffering too. And, you know, the one thing I will say about this is I hear people say this a lot, and it's problematic, which is if if we can't have our own biological kids, we'll just adopt. That is, you can't do that. Adoption will never replace the experience of having a biological child. It will actually trigger it. But it's its own journey, adoption, and you really need to grieve and heal the loss of not having your own children before you enter adoption, for the sake of the adoptees.
Did you heal yourself before you went through the journey? When the first step of adoption is you go through this pride training. Okay, take us through.
So that was the first step. And when there was a series of sessions, we were in a room with like 12 other couples. And there was one session where it was emphasizing the grief associated with infertility, because most of the people in that room had experienced infertility. And I had to remove myself because I was sobbing, because no one had ever said that to me before. No one had ever said, this is a loss, this is a trauma, this is grief. And I'm so grateful for that, because it just like washed out of my body. I named it for myself, and I was like, oh my God, like, right, this is a big thing, and that's where I really did start to, so well before I was matched with my kids, and I'm glad, because I can see how it would have been problematic.
For sure. So the whole adoption process from start to finish, there's much more to it, but that first initial, you sit down and you start to heal. So that went right.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So what happens next? They call it pride training?
Yeah.
Where does the name, is it an acronym?
It's an acronym.
Okay.
Please don't ask me right now what it is.
I will not put you on the
It's been
spot,
years.
but it's an important part of the process. So you and your husband at the time were going through this together, supporting each other through it, because I'm sure he's also was grieving. It's not anyone's fault. It's a situation you're in as a couple. And really, when I looked up statistics on the rate of infertility, it's a tough one to decipher, but 1 in 6 couples in Canada experience infertility.
Yeah, and I will say, just, my ex aside, because this is my story, but I think there's a lot of focus on the women when it comes to sharing about infertility, which is totally fair. I mean, my body went through things that his didn't, and it's different because it's not doing what it's supposed to do. But there's a lot of grief for the men too, right? And I think that's something that not a lot of people do talk about, but it is very much a thing. Yeah.
Thank you for addressing that, because that's not part of your story, but you're well aware that there's multiple lives involved in the situation, right? So as you go through the process, and how does one go about adopting a child? Like, where did you go to, begin this pride training?
So there's 3 types of adoption: an international, private, and public. We went public, which is typically through an agency like the Children's Aid Society.
Okay.
So he actually got a pamphlet in our mailbox one day and made the first phone call. We got into the training, which lasted a few months. Not everyone makes it through the training. A lot of people learn about certain things and are like, no, this is not for us. We weren't those people. We still wanted to proceed. So after that training is the home study, so one thing about adoption, just to start the story off, I know the way the media portrays adoption is so romanticized. But I will say, if you have seen anything in a movie or on TV, the home study is pretty accurate. Like, they do come into your house. There's like a series of interviews, individual, together. They know your whole family history, your finances, et cetera. It's not invasive, but it's a lot.
That sounds like a lot.
It took at least 6 months, I believe. Yeah.
So you made it through that part.
We did. And at that point, you become adopt approved. So that was probably about a year and a half from pride training to the home study and getting adopt approved.
Wow.
And, something that people ask me all the time is what sort of do they just call you and you get matched and then it's a thing, or how, is there choice? And there is, so after we finished that home study and got approved, there's this big stack of papers where you check off boxes, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So it's just different levels of, mental health, potential issues, physical disabilities, independence, dependence, how kids are conceived. Like there's all of these layers.
And do you always have that history about the children? If an organization like CCAS or CS is involved, do they always have the full history on the children?
I'm sure there are in our case. So once we got that phone call, we're waiting, and a couple. I think it was 3 years from the time we went to the training to the time we got matched with the kids, and we got the phone call, which was like, despite the hardships, like that followed the adoption, this was the best day ever because it was the phone call we've been waiting for, and there's two. Like we didn't say we want siblings. That wasn't the plan, but we were matched with these two. And so the first step is the social worker comes to the house and brings you the case file. And in our case, it was like a 15, 20-page document because there was so much family history.
And the children were how old at this point?
So they were apprehended from their biological birth homes at babies and matched with us at 2 and 3 years old.
So they're still babies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they were separated in foster care, unfortunately, and in foster care for too long. They were in there for 2 years because of COVID.
Oh.
So there's so many complexities to our story. We
Talk about layers.
For each individual person involved, there's so much. And
none of this scared you. You were so excited to welcome two little humans into your home, which I think is amazing. Tell us what happens next. So when do you meet the kids? At what point do you meet them?
Just circling back to what you said about none of this scared you. I think that we can circle back on this, but I wasn't scared at the time because I don't feel that, like, a case file does explain a history, and the Pride training did explain a bigger picture, and I was introduced to trauma and what the children and their kin and families and the circle goes through. So I was educated, but I wasn't. There's a lot of things that I know now that I do think should have been, that I could have consented to. So no, at the time I wasn't afraid, but I didn't really necessarily know everything, I think. Park that.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
But yeah, as soon as we got matched, we read the case file and we wanted to proceed. And, there was a lot of signs too, between their birth years and middle names. And it was kind of incredible. My daughter's middle name is what I would have given to if I had a biological daughter.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so anyway, there was just a lot of even their birth years and where I was kind of in my journey on the path to motherhood is.
So sorry, but just to kind of expand on that. So the signs that you were feeling and seeing, the middle name being what you would have named your own daughter from birth, et cetera, I'm sure birthdays, all of that stuff. To you, were those signs that this was meant to be?
I just still to this day can't imagine that. How could it not be? How could it not be? I mean, but yeah, we get matched. We want to proceed. There's a series of, at this time it was Zoom calls because again, we were still kind of in COVID.
Yeah.
We met with, there's two social workers attached to our file just because they were separated and there was a lot of layers. And to just, it's a long story, but basically to the phone call to the day we met them was inside of 30 days. And from the first day we met them to the kid moving in was less than 30 days. So it was basically, as soon as we said yes, a 30-day transition plan came into my inbox. Wow. And as the default or primary parent who was going to take the maternity leave or whatnot, this was it was crazy because we had it was 6 weeks to not only get our house ready. We didn't know what we needed. I didn't have 9 months to read books or start a registry. It was instant. So I had a friend built a registry for me who had a toddler and sent it to all of our people, and people just started buying stuff and sending it to the house. And I, of course, had to call the owner of the company at the time. I was a VP of sales. And it's like, you know, you're not telling them in 9 months you're going to be leaving. It's like, I have to go now.
Right. And was that well received, being in
I
the
had
corporate?
told them that we were adopt approved, so they knew a phone call could come. But I
Okay.
don't think any of us really knew that it would be like, I got to go now. But these people were so supportive for the whole thing. Like, you know,
amazing.
for the years to follow too.
Yeah.
Like, they were incredible. And
Good.
But yeah, it was like instant.
Your
Mom.
parents, yeah, you're an instant mom. And you're right, you didn't have the 9 months to 9 minutes, I wish.
I am a 9-minute mom.
Yeah, there you are. We'll
Yeah.
call you 9-minute
Okay,
mom.
great.
Really, that's about all the time that you had to process it. You said yes. The trigger is pulled, the kids are arriving, and not one, but two.
And they don't even know each other hardly.
Even though they're
Because they
biological
were
siblings,
so
but
it
they've
was
been
like
separated.
a reuniting of siblings.
Dallas.
So the way it was sort of like portrayed to us was like, this was a beautiful reuniting of two, you know, biological kids coming together, which I believe, I understand it, but, you know.
Reality is often different than the
Yes.
way things are
Yes.
shared, right?
Yes.
And you live this reality. So these two little beings come into your house.
Who are beautiful,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've seen photos. They are
Yes.
gorgeous.
And smart and everything, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and you've had a role to play in this, and we're not even
No,
halfway through
no.
your early journey. But so these two humans arrive, and you instantly fall in love, or how do you? Because you know, people always say. When you're about to become a parent, a mother in particular, when you see the baby, it's like a love you've never experienced before. And then people will say, well, how do you give that same love to a second child? So you're blending, you're 9-minute mom. You've
Yeah.
got now two, you know, firstborn and secondborn coming at the same time. How are you dealing with this inside, internally, emotionally? Are you putting pressure on yourself? I'm asking you a lot of questions.
No,
but
I know. I honestly think at that time I was out of my body.
Yeah.
think all I remember thinking is, I cannot believe I actually get to be a mom. Like, I was so happy, but as soon as the kids did come home and then both were transitioned in, it was instant hard. But I will say, love at first sight, I don't know, but I know that I immediately embodied them like a mother. I get emotional saying that. Just like I felt them. Like I could, you know, they were grieving. Like if
you probably
only an adoptive parent will understand a grief cry and what that sounds like. It's not the same cry. It's painful. Yeah, and it was so hard to. I had so much compassion for them, but of course, like as a new mom, it's like you have your own insecurities, and you know that kid at the beginning isn't attached to you, and they're attached to their foster family, and it's really hard.
Yeah, I
Really
bet I
hard.
can't imagine, Dallas. So how do you push through? Because this is happening. You're trying to console them when they're grieving, right? And they're little. They can't necessarily tell you what they're
No, they
feeling,
couldn't.
right? Which a lot of mothers can experience because you don't know
Yeah.
when they don't talk. You don't know. Instinctually, you knew they were grieving. You knew the difference.
Yes. I don't know why. I just did.
Because you're their mom.
Yeah.
That's why, right? So tell us what happens next in the journey.
We started, we had to the kids had to attach to one parent that we could, so we were in the nesting phase, they call it. So my mom, our families, like we didn't see anybody for, I think it was 3 months, 2 to 3 months, which was really hard. Because, but I get it. Like we didn't have nursing. I wasn't rocking her as a baby, you know, so we actually had to do things to form attachment, like wrap them. So we were treating them like newborns.
Okay.
So if you
Like
saw me
swaddle them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And we bought a carrier. So if you saw me at, 8:00 in the morning, I'd be walking the rail trail with a toddler strapped to my body. So physically, like that was painful. Like it wasn't
You're
easy,
small.
but it was like you were
Yeah.
holding them, and like with my daughter, like we would bathe together just so that she could form that physical attachment, and feeding them, putting them on bottles.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Knowing I'd have to wean them off, but it's a nurture.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
And so that went on for a long time. I was on a parental leave, they call it when you're an adoptive parent, for the full year. He took 5 months. He was meant to take 1 month, and then nobody was ready. And then a year later, I went back to work.
What?
Yeah, they went into school and daycare, which was across from our house. But it was
Were
tough.
they ready? Were you ready? Like, that's a short period of time.
It was such an intuitive thing for me. Like, I'll never forget when I dropped my daughter at daycare for the first time. Like, I was shaking leaving because she had to be peeled off my body. And it's like, what is the right thing to do? Is it like you want to nurture them, but you know they need to go to school and you know they need to be socialized and you know they need a routine and they're behind a bit because of the adoption, the foster care, right? So I chose to send her to daycare and go home. And it was so hard. I would be trembling for half the day.
Of course you would. It's the worst feeling. And yours is magnified because, like you said...
It's like, I don't want to traumatize them more.
Exactly. So, and it's hard as a mother to do that.
Yes.
You know what your kids have gone through already. And now did you feel like you were causing them more trauma by taking them to school? Okay, good.
I was worried about it, but I don't think I've ever traumatized them. I think I've been so mindful and I've read things and watched things. You know, I'm an overachiever. So of course, like, you know.
That's why we love you.
I did everything I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
We were calling the social workers because we were openly sharing that we were having challenges and that we thought that there was something more than grief going on, like right from the beginning.
Okay, and what did the social workers say to you? That this is normal? Did they have other examples of kids going through this? Like, this is new to you. You've never been through this, and you're extra worried because of what the two have been through. What did the social workers say to you?
This is what you signed up for. Are you sure you're up for it?
No.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it because then we thought we were the problem. And I remember we were having Zoom calls with the workers at night because we were having challenges. And I did ask at one point, like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the hardest, this social worker had like 30 years experience.
Okay.
So I was like, what is this? And she said, it's for sure a 10. And I said, well, that would have been good to know before.
Did you say that?
Yes.
And the response?
I don't remember.
But not
remember. I just remember
helpful.
These specific things that were said.
Yeah.
Because I thought, I don't know, it just felt corrupt a bit. Because I was like, these are human beings and little babies. And I'm responsible. We're responsible for them.
And you take that very seriously.
Like, you know, I never felt like, I never identified, I didn't wear an adoptive mom t-shirt.
No.
I didn't identify
That's not
with
you.
adoption. I just knew that these were my kids and I was going to do whatever I needed to do to love them, you know, but realistically, like, you can't love trauma away. Mm-hmm. And that's something that needs to be talked about more in the beginning, because I think what you see on TV and what you know about adoption, most of us, is that it's that the parent's the hero and the kid's lucky, and that's just not
the end.
And
right?
It's not. I mean, I'm
not.
5 years in now, and it's still not the end.
Yeah,
we're still in crisis.
Okay, so in the 5 years, a lot has happened, and we could talk much longer than we have on today's episode. However, the next part for you is, I'm sure, a difficult part, because your husband at the time, their dad, you are no longer together.
Yeah, in getting the one thing that we wanted the most, we lost everything. 15 months into the transition, he admitted that he couldn't do this with the kids. We did not fall out of love. I personally just could not abandon the kids. I just couldn't. And the only path forward was for us to sacrifice the marriage and what happened, of course, like I knew I was going to be grieving that, and I knew the kids would be grieving that, and it was kind of felt like a reset, a start over again, right? Which mentally I knew that was going to happen. What I didn't know what was going to happen is that, my whole life blew up. The ripple effect was just brutal. The school started calling every day. I could not fulfill my role at work. I had to resign essentially and completely, like, my identity as a person was gone. Everything was falling, and it was a huge mess. A huge mess.
And again, this is a space where there is no judgment. So unfortunately, your marriage ended. You have stayed the course for these two beautiful children. Your life has changed dramatically. The support that you have, does it come from the organization that helped you adopt the children? Is it your friends and family? Like, how do you get through the day?
I don't know. Everyone asks me that. How have you not waved the white flag yet? Honestly, this is a very isolating experience. I feel that me and my kids are extremely misunderstood, and that would be relatable to any adoptive family, I'm sure, who has been deemed an extreme case like us.
What do you mean misunderstood? Your situation, or?
Well, my children present as neurotypical, and look at me.
Yeah.
I don't look like I've hit rock bottom today, but I have to show up because I have to keep this whole ship floating, or everyone's it's going to break down.
And you're not going to let that happen, and we know that.
How do I let that happen? So I feel like, it's just hard for people to, when you meet my kids, and again, I want to be super respectful of their privacy, so
Absolutely.
I don't want to talk about like stuff that happens at the home, but stuff happens that is, there are safety issues, and there are extreme behaviors, and there's things that I am not qualified to manage. And in order to escalate this, I knew we needed medical intervention, and I watched it for years. I was like, I want to make sure I heal these kids before I start looking at other things like, FASD. Like there's complex trauma here and prenatal exposure, and I knew that there could be a diagnosis, but I didn't want to push my kids into a system medically if they weren't healed yet. And once I got to a point where I felt that they were healed, I had to start screaming and banging on doors because no one would listen to me. Doctors, teachers, I was fighting with everybody. I thought every time I walked into a room, people thought I was that insane mother.
Okay, but that's in your head. But you said it here. You're an overachiever. You just move through life making things look easy. Meanwhile, you're silently struggling.
And both are true.
Right.
But what choice does someone, I had someone say to me once when this all broke down, a good friend of mine, she said to me, she's like, God, you're so resilient, but I wish you didn't have to be all the time. And I'll never forget that sentence, because it's like, people don't see that. Like, and I work in the luxury market too of events, right? So it's like, I have to share things and have a website, and my events are beautiful and expensive and all of these things. So I think for a long time, I felt very, almost like I was suffering from an identity crisis. And that's where the misunderstanding comes from the outside world. It's like, you see this, but I'm not sharing this.
Right.
And this is the first time I've started sharing it, because I didn't really know what I wanted to say or how to say it, because I have to protect the kids.
Yes.
And my story too, there's elements that are so private, but again, this is like the next step of advocacy for me, is to share. And I know what I'm talking about now. I think this journey, you pick things up along the way, and now I know what this is. I know what happened. I know what was said. I know what wasn't said, and I know why.
Yeah. And I get the whole separate personality thing. And I think a lot of people listening and watching today are shaking their heads. Yeah, that applies to me too. Outside of the adoption world,
for sure.
There's so many people that can relate to what you're sharing. So thank you for sharing. And I did listen to a different podcast that you shared the story, and you are so mindful of your children and their best interests and their privacy, right? That to me speaks volumes about the type of person that you are, the type of mother that you are.
Thanks.
So You're welcome. You should
I
hear
think the
that.
other thing too is it's not just my kids, it's adoptees in general, because this is one story. There are many. There are many who have broken down. There are many who have
given up.
Oh, there's so many stories, and every time I share something or even have conversations, I'm always thinking about the adoptees, because it's a forever trauma, and it's something, and loss, and it never goes away. And I think that's also something that people don't understand trauma at the developmental level. No. And that's something that, I think about all the time when I'm parenting or sharing.
Yeah. Well, you are helping many people, and the fact that you are sharing your journey so beautifully and eloquently, because it's been a tough road, Dallas. Let's call it what it is.
Oh, there's so many nights crying on the kitchen floor. I tell you, I haven't had tears fall out of my body like that. So yeah, it's been, I can talk about it now. I tried talking about it about 2 years ago, and I couldn't get through it without tears. So
it wasn't
I
the time.
Stopped because I wasn't ready. And it's just. It was very painful. Still is.
It still
is.
But I'm sure if you looked back to the Dallas 2 years ago, you've grown as an individual, as a mom, as a person. Because for someone like you to come out and share, because image is important, right? When you're working, you said it, when you're working in the luxury market and doing these wonderful events, you have to be put together. But guess what? So many of us aren't. Okay.
Well, the thing is, I think it's hard because I had to leave my career, and I had to build this business so that I could support my kids. And niching in a luxury market allows me to have less events and be more available for the kids. And that's also part of that story that you don't see, like how that journey came to be, right? And
it wasn't an easy one.
No.
But you've done it. That's the thing about you, is once you set your mind to it, whether it's being a mom, a career, changing the trajectory of your career path, all in the name of love and family. That's what I see.
Thank you.
That's what I see. So So back to the story, because there's more. But you are now finding the kids the resources, or is this easier? You know more. You know what you're asking for. Because as a new mom, any new mom, whether they're the birth parent or an adoptive parent, it takes a while to find your voice, and the mama bear comes out pretty much instantly. But now you know what you're asking for. Is that fair to say?
I do now, but I've been in. 3 years ago is when I started banging on the doctor's doors. I started at my family doctor, and then they give you a resource, and then there's a pediatrician, and then that's where it started, and I started learning things. But these kids fall into this bucket that is very gray. Mm-hmm. I can't get a diagnosis that is recognized by the system to support us with funding respite. But I can't hire a babysitter because I need someone with those skills. I can't be a stay-at-home mom because I'm the only provider financially. But it's a mess.
Yeah.
But yes, it's been a 3-year journey of any community supports, or the right community supports that would be the ones to support us, but I've exhausted them now. We've come in and out of these supports, and I'm at a place now where people are not living at home at the same time because it's a safety concern. And I feel that it's my duty. I have to keep everyone safe, including myself.
Yes.
If we're not safe, then again, the ship sinks. And I want there to be reunification. I want everyone to come back together. But until everyone gets the support or treatment that they need, I have to hold these supports accountable. And, the thing about the agency, to go back to your question.
Okay, let's go back.
Yeah, the original question of who's supporting you, the agencies, and I didn't know this before, I didn't even know what it meant, is child protection.
Yeah.
So on paper, the kids are not unsafe in my care.
Correct.
I push back on that, though, because if if I'm not qualified to, like, there's doctors involved, there's data now, there's things on paper. So these things are happening. We require this level of support. I don't have that training. I'm a wedding planner. I'm not able, and I can't be home 24/7. I can't be one-to-one 24/7. I can't, if someone can't go to school, I can't be the one every day coming home. So I get frustrated when they say child protection to me, because I am child protection. I know the system now. I know that if we're an extreme case, we need to be thinking outside of the box and building an extreme long-term support plan so that my kids and others who are in the same boat, because I know they're out there worldwide, aren't going to float around in the system for their whole life, because then we never break the cycle. And that these children are so vulnerable. They need someone to be advocating for them all the time, at school, in the community, in the medical system. It's everywhere, and it's the system is broken.
Yes, it is. And so, given your experience, I mean, who can fix this? How do we fix this broken system?
I have no idea, but I'm not going to stop until I figure that out. I don't know.
Amazing.
But I want to know, and I can be louder than I am being right now, but I don't want to go nuclear. I don't. No. I want to...
You're doing it for the right reasons, Dallas. You're doing it for the children, your children, and the countless other children around the world
and that's why I'm talking about it, because if I've learned anything in my whole life, anytime I've shared things that are important, it's a silenced community. I think adoptive parents are in fear. Like, they don't want to get in trouble with the agency. They don't want to, expose the kids, of course. But it's like, who do you talk to? What do you say? What's safe? Who's safe? Like, that's what I mean. Sometimes it feels a bit corrupt, because it's like I said yes to this thing, but it's not that thing that I said yes to. So who do I talk to now? Because there's no plan for what's now.
Yeah.
So it's I feel like I'm in a wheel, and I cannot get out.
Yeah. Well, you have the voice, you have the strength now, you have the experience, you have the knowledge, like you said, you have the medical data to support what you're asking for. I hope someone who's listening reaches out to help you.
Me too.
I don't know who that person
Me neither.
is. But I am confident that someone will say, hey, yeah, I get this too. I want to help her.
Yeah, that would be great.
We need to change this. And that's how, my friends, things change in society, right?
Yeah.
We hear all the time in so many of our systems here in Canada, it's broken. It's broken. No matter what it is, it's broken. And then we silently take a step back. Mm-hmm. But
I'm not doing that.
Exactly. You're taking those steps forward, and I commend you. And however I can help you down the road, your story is unbelievable, and you only gave us a little insight into it. So what would you say? You've said a lot, Dallas. You are so eloquent. Your thoughtful approach to this is remarkable, because I think a lot of people in your position, and there are many, wouldn't be able to articulate this in the same capacity, nor would they be able to present in such a normal way. So even though sometimes I can understand you might feel a little bit not right in your head.
Like most of the time, to be fair. Yeah.
But you're holding it together, and your purpose is to give these kids the love and the hope and the life that they deserve. And I cannot tell you strongly enough how impactful that is, how important that is. And I guess what I would love to hear is, from all of this, what would you say to someone who may be contemplating adoption, a couple, a single person, whatever the case may be? What would you say to those individuals that are thinking of taking this journey?
I think that call me so I can give you a list of questions first, of foremost.
Wait, are we putting your phone number up?
Nope, you can find me online real easy. I would say to be prepared for sacrifice of self, and I mean, you can search the percentage of marriages that don't make it, and I hope that changes, because I think if there was more transparency at the beginning stages, that's a big change that needs to happen as soon as possible, and that's an agency thing. I hope that will change, and maybe I can help support that. I don't know. But just to really understand that the chances of there needing to be sacrifices, from a career perspective or whatever, that is, we don't want marriages breaking down because the kids need two parents.
Absolutely.
We don't want that. So we need to fix that at the front end.
You need each other.
You do. The other thing I would say is just, again, being prepared for the level of advocacy that is going to be required forever. I go back to that kind of feeling isolated, and I really do think, because my kids they present as neurotypical, and many of the kids, these types of kids do, people are going to think you're crazy. Your own family may not understand. You're going to have friends drop off. It's extreme. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
But you can't stop. You have to advocate, and whoever or whatever has to change, drop off. It will happen on its own, and it'll be really hard. But just that advocacy piece is huge, because I didn't know I'd be fighting with the director of peds at Ron Joyce at Mac. I didn't know that it would go that far. And a lot of times it will, and it needs to. So be prepared to be loud.
I have to say, I'm sorry for the losses along the way. And a lot of people experience this in very different situations. You lose people that were once close to you because they don't understand necessarily what you're going through. But a very wise man once said to me in my journey, "You're going to make more friends than you could ever imagine." And I know that holds true for you, Dallas, and I'm going to get teary. But I see it. And I'm a new friend for you, and you have me as a support. And there's so many other people that are going to reach out to you. My one last question, and this one might make you teary. You are engaged to a wonderful man. We'll just leave that one there. He has children, you have children. You will have a blended family. What are your hopes for the future, for you, for your kids, for your partner's kids, for his kids, for your bigger family? What are your hopes and dreams?
You are going to make me teary. We all just need peace. Yeah. I want, it's hard for us right now to even blend, because there's so many, it's still so extreme. And I want my kids to not feel othered. I want them to feel like the smart, beautiful humans they are. I want them to have a future. Right now, I don't know if they do. And like I said, I'm not going to stop, but
they do.
But all I've had to hold on to is hope. Through infertility, through the whole mess, it's just been, that's it. I've lost everything else. There's a point where I thought I might have lost hope too, but
no.
But yeah, I just hope that we can all get stability and find peace and be happy. I really want that, and healthy, and just kind of put this part, I'm not saying it's ever going to go away, but just put this chapter over here, and I would love to experience the next one, with less, just not knowing what's going to happen. I'd love to know what's going to happen.
Well, that's the tough part, but you're doing all the right things to make the good things happen. So don't lose sight of that.
Thank you.
I wore this shirt today for you.
I was trying to read it from over here.
It says, "The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return."
Aw.
So it's from Moulin Rouge.
Okay.
It applies to a relationship between two individuals, but I feel it applies to everyone that touches your life. So remember that. You are giving them the gift of love, and accept that in return.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
Dallas, you are a treasure. Before I totally ruin my makeup, thank you. Your story is not done. You have a long journey ahead, but it's a hopeful journey. So don't ever lose sight of that. Thank you for sharing with us today. Thank you for being the person that you are. Those remarkable eyes that light up a room. Thank you.
Well, I want to say thank you to you, because you having me at this table, you are an advocate for my kids and other adoptees. So thank you for giving us a voice.
It's my very, very great pleasure. Adoption is not a simple story. It's layered, it's emotional, it's beautiful, there's uncertainty, it can be joyful, heartbreaking, exhausting, and deeply human. All of these things at the same time. It asks people to hold space for grief and hope together at the same time, to move through fear while still believing in all of the possibilities ahead, to embrace uncertainty while building love, trust, and connection day by day, and their hard days. And while the journey may not begin the way many have imagined, that doesn't make it any less meaningful. In so many ways, adoption becomes a story not just about becoming a family, but about resilience, about patience, growth, and unconditional love. Today's conversation with Dallas reminds us that there is no one right path to parenthood, to belonging, or to family. Every journey looks a little bit different, and every experience carries its own challenges and its own triumphs. But at the heart of it all is love. The kind of love that keeps showing up, keeps leaning in, keeps growing, keeps choosing one another, and even in the unknown. That, my friends, is our friend Dallas. She is love. She is hope. For anyone listening who may be walking this road right now, through infertility, adoption, waiting, loss, uncertainty, I hope this episode resonates with you and reminds you that your story absolutely matters. It's okay to hold and struggle with complicated feelings, but as Dallas shared today, you also have to release those feelings. Even in the hardest moments, there can still be beauty, connection, and hope waiting to unfold. So sometimes the life that we planned isn't the life that arrives. And that's okay. It can still become a life filled with purpose, with meaning, and a life filled with extraordinary amounts of love. Remember to keep believing, because the rest is still unwritten. And from that comes this, with love.